Hi there, how's everybody doing? So now that you've drawn the first glory dragon from Wings of Fire, let's try the second one. This one's a little harder. It's a little bit more complex. It's the full body dragon. So grab a piece of paper and your favorite pencil and meet me in the art room. I'm not gonna lie, this one's a little harder than the other one, but it's so cool. Well, hello. Hi, everybody. So today we are drawing this version of Glory the Dragon from the Wings of Fire Scholastic series. I just wanted to read this little quick thing. So Glory is the adult female rain wing and is the main protagonist of the Hidden Kingdom, formerly Dragnet of Destiny. She is partially responsible for the end of the War of Sandwing Succession and the founding of the Jade Mountain Academy. After the Nightwing Exodus, Glory became the queen of both the Nightwings and the Rainwings. And she currently resides in the Rainforest Kingdom. She is also currently in a relationship with Deathbringer. Her appearance is that she has green eyes and a brilliant color-changing scales that are dull in comparison to other rain wings. She has soft wings, feathery ears, and a long body and tail, and a delicate snout. Unlike most rain wings, Glory tries to keep her scales from showing emotions. Therefore, she usually is seen with dark emerald green scales dappled with lights and flares of orange around her ears, as well as underside of her wings. This is because she likes to match the leaves around her and the rainforest she lives in, kind of like a chameleon. Okay, so Glory is often depicted as snarky, snide, sarcastic, the queen of sarcasm, bold, aloof, judgmental, brave, impatient, and annoyed with lazy, stupid, specifically her rainwing subjects. Okay, so she is pretty profound. I could go on and read more fandom about Rainwing, but let's get to drawing her. So unlike the other drawing where it's just her portrait, we are drawing the full body. Really quickly before we start, my name is Kathy Chatteraj and welcome to my YouTube channel. You can find me at all of these places. Info@futurepicassos.com is my email address. If you would like to have a subject drawn for you, please reach out. I'm happy to do it. I am also at Instagram at Future Picassos, and my website is www.futurepicassos.com. Okay, so I am drawing this for a very dear little friend, Emily. I hope you like it. If you draw it and you love it and you want to share it with me, I love to see your work. Okay, so this is the digital drawing I did of Glory. And this is hopefully what our end product will look like. My material for said drawing is basic stuff. I have a very basic #2 pencil sharpener. I'm going to put this drawing aside and kind of leave it over here on the side. I also have my piece of drawing paper right here. This is a heavyweight drawing paper from my sketchbook. I'm almost out of sketchbook, so that is good to know. Also, the thing I like about this heavyweight paper is that in our class, we're going to be erasing a lot. So you can then, it'll adhere to the erasing, but also it will take marker, colored pencil, watercolor, paint, or whatever medium I choose to work with. It doesn't work well with alcohol markers, but very few paper actually does, very few papers actually work well with alcohol markers. So that is good to know. So I have sectioned it off with a ruler. I'd like you to do that by taking a ruler or a pencil and just drawing a line vertical and a line horizontally. And this allows me to scale my drawing. If you notice, I did the same thing over here with my picture of Glory. It allows me to scale the drawing so I can look at the shapes. So when I'm looking at this and I'm drawing this, I'm not looking at the dragon, I'm looking at the shapes. I think we get carried away and we forget that everything is just shape. And I'm looking at the shape of the shape and the spaces in between the shape, and the scaling of the cross helps me measure exactly what I see. Okay, so before I draw, I like to kind of break things down into a simpler form. And that is this form right here that you see on this tracing paper of the dragon. So if I put this on top of this, and you can see how I've simplified it. I've simplified Glory down to very simple shapes. Now, what you don't see are all of the details of the different decorative elements. You just see the shape of the form. And with all drawing, when you're sketching, it's usually apparent that you're going to scribble out kind of an underform before you like go in with the fine details. Now, if you're one of those artists that just does the details up front, I kind of like, I think it's hard. With lots of practice, you can do that, but I think it's hard to show people how to draw things without going through the steps. So this is a step-by-step class, and I'm going to show you how to draw Glory just like this. And then we're going to go back in and we're going to finesse the shapes and put all the details in. So as you can see, that this is kind of looking like a dragon, and it's kind of looking like an abstract dragon, which is what I love about this process. And I also like to emphasize that at any time you can pause, and you could also rewind so you can redo the steps. Also, you can do this method with anything. This is how I scale my paintings and my professional work. This is how I draw my lessons. I kind of sketch everything out simply, and then I go back in and I put whatever else I need to put in. And also, please be reminded, if you don't want to like end up with this and you want to do whatever you want, that's your choice. You can do whatever you want. And I'm just kind of here as a vehicle to kind of show you how to do this. In the end, we will line it, and I use these liner pens. These are my favorite. They're actually artist pens for lettering. I like them because they're brushy, but you can also use a Sharpie. I recommend a fine point Sharpie like this. The thick Sharpies will kind of mess up your drawings, or you can use actually any pen that you want. But just beware that if you go in with a thick Sharpie like this, you're going to get really thick lines, and they're harder to control, and you can kind of make a mess of your beautiful work. And do you have to line your drawings? Absolutely not. Okay, so let's get started. I am going to kind of put this out of the way. So actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to move it out of the way so you only see partial of it. If I make the camera go up higher, you're going to kind of get lost and not see everything. And I kind of want you to be able to see everything. So in true fashion, if we do this correctly and line things up and say we only draw half of this and then move it over to the other side and draw the other half of it, we will end up in a good place, right? So let's put our thinking caps on and get our drawing pencils ready. I do also have this eraser. So I sometimes draw with mechanical pencils. I sometimes draw with artist pencils, different weights of lead. For this kind of drawing, I like to use whatever I have on hand. So I'm going to do this like I do everything. I'm going to start at the middle of the paper, which is right here. And I'm just going to move this over a teeny tiny bit more, just like that. And I'm going to focus on this shape right here, right? So this is like my middle shape. And what I'm also going to focus on is this little space right here, which lines up as being kind of a negative space. So I like to believe that if we draw the negative and positive spaces around things, we can actually draw the thing, right? It's kind of a whole science, and you learn how to see like that, right? So in this space right here, I'm just going to kind of darken this in like this. right? And so if I measure this, it's going to be like less than a finger up and less than a finger over. And if I put a little line like this is going to kind of set up this whole shape, right? So now I want to measure how far over we go from this spot right here. And I'm going to say about 2 fingers over. So 2 of my fingers up like this. Now your fingers might be different, but this is how I kind of measure like this. And so my 2 fingers, I don't do this all the time, but I'll do it right here. It's a little bit more than an inch. My 3 fingers are about 2.5, 2.25, 2.5 inches, almost 3 inches. My 4 fingers are about 3.5, almost 4 inches. You can't see that, almost 3.5, 4 inches. So, bear in mind, my fingers are as of such. So 2 fingers over, I'm going to make a dot right here. And I know that this line comes down to right about right here. So the first line I'm going to make looks like this, just a nice curve. And so here's the thing with this kind of measuring, connect the dot theory. If at any time you want to pause it and erase, you can, but also know that it's okay if yours doesn't look like mine, because we're all different, right? I'm different from you, you're different from me. So in between here and here, if I press down my finger, I have about this much space. So I'm going to put a little dot right there. And then I'm going to measure over about a little less than a finger. So I want you to also know that when I go to draw these, I'm just going to, and then I'm going to connect this like this, and this line curves a little bit. When I draw these, I draw it out, and then I do this drawing, I do that drawing. I don't really think about how I'm going to teach it, right? Until I sit down and I turn my cameras on and I kind of look at it and I say, and I let like my intuition kind of flow through and to say, oh, this is where I'm going to start. I don't always start in the middle. I could start with the head, but I start, I kind of visually break everything down and I start with what I see. So this space right here is very far over, but I kind of want to put it in because I think it's important to start with this shape, is about 3 fingers wide. So 3 fingers in here is going to look like this right here. And then the next shape I'm going to make is going to look like this. And you can see I'm kind of gauging off of this line with everything that I see. And then this line up here is going to go like this. So here's my first shape. If it's, whether it be right or wrong, it does not matter. I'm just kind of getting my shape in. I can erase that. And it's a very, very simple shape. Now, as you notice, I'm kind of drawing very lightly because I'm going to probably erase a lot in the end, but you draw as dark or as light as you want. So I'm going to keep my paper right about right here so you can see everything that we're drawing. And the next thing I'm going to go and do is I'm going to kind of put this wing shape in. So from this point, I'm going to measure everything off of this point. Over is about 5 of my fingers. It's going to come over to here. I can also measure off the back end of my tracing paper, and that's about 2 fingers over. So this is going to go right here. And this line is going to come down to about right here. And it's going to kind of curve up and come down like this. I'm going to put that in. Excellent. And then the next thing that we're going to want to do from here is put our wing in. And so from the top of this space right here to the top of that is about 3 of my fingers. I'm going to put a dot right here. And so if I take my line, now this is where I like to turn my paper because I want to get I want to get a good line in there. So if I do this like this, and then I go from right here to right here, and then I kind of come over like this. I'm turning my paper because I want to make it easy on myself. And then, so this is my top wing right here. And then from right here, about 2 fingers over right here to about right here, I'm just going to put in this little line right here, which is a guideline. So we're kind of drawing that. And you know, it's deceiving because while you're drawing it, you might notice that things look a little differently in here than they do in there, but that is okay. So let's put this shape in now. One finger over here, I'm going to put a dot. And then this angle, sometimes I like to measure the angle, like 3 fingers. So from right here to right here. And that might go up a little bit. It's okay to kind of tweak your lines. This comes down like this. And then this to right here is going to come down. I'm going to put a dot right here. That's about a little less than 2 fingers. And sometimes I just visualize it. It comes down like this. And then this right here curves a little bit like this. And then I'm going to put a dot right here. It's about 1 fat finger. And then this line comes over like this. So the shape kind of looks like that. And remember, we're going to put all kinds of details in that shape, so it might change. But you can see that we've started drawing the wing. Excellent. So this is profound. We have this tail, and the placement of the tail, I think, is pretty important. So if I draw little guidelines up on where I want this circle to go for my tail, if I put a little box around it and measure this from this center line, it's going to be about 3 fingers down, and it's going to come. So see how I have this shape right here? If I put little lines up that look like that, I'm just kind of measuring it out. And then this goes about 2.5 fingers wide. And this goes over here like this. And then about 2.5 fingers down. So here I have this shape, this placement for this tail. If that's just confusing for you, you can just put a circle in there. So I'm just going to put a circle in here for this tail shape. It doesn't have to be correct. I just want to get the right placement of said tail. And that's kind of how I would do that. When you get really good at this method, you can use, you don't have to measure anymore. You can just use your eyes to visualize where you kind of want things to go. So the top part of his tail kind of comes down and it swoops down like this. You have to like look at that shape and just kind of swoop down and around like that, right? And then up in here, right about right here, I'm going to put a dot. And then right about right, I'm going to measure where I want that to go. So 3 fingers down here, I'm going to put a line that looks like that. And then I'm going to draw in what I believe is my leg of my dragon, this shape right here. And then I'm going to put, so once you get that shape in, so it's like if you draw things in sections and you really just break it down into shapes, I know it's scary, but you can then begin to see that it's much easier than you thought, right? So in here, I'm going to put a line right there. And then I'm going to put a line right here. And what I'm drawing now is my foot. And I'm still really thinking about these shapes in here. If I look at this shape right here, it's very similar to this shape right here. But remember, my eyes are trained to see like that. How does that happen? Practice. Lots and lots of practice. Okay, so from here, this shape comes over like this, and then this comes over like this, and this is the bottom of his foot. And then I'm going to put this shape which is eventually going to be his tail. So I'm really just copying the shapes. And in learning how to draw things, whether it be from your imagination or if you say you want to draw the thing, like there's nothing wrong with copying the shapes. Okay, so now I'm going to put this line in right here. And I know that if I have my tail like this is going to wrap around like that. And I have this line right here. Whoops. I know that this is a little curvy line. And so this is going to look, sorry. So this might come down a little bit like so. And then this is going to look like this. So eventually when we go to draw the actual tail, it will be made up of this whole kind of a spiral because she has a very long tail, right? But I just want to get the shape of the tail in at the moment. And right behind the dragon, she has another leg, right? So then this comes down like this. And then it comes over. I'm looking at this negative space like this. And then this comes over like that. And then we're going to put a little line like this. And then we're going to put, I'm just looking at this shape in here, right? Because this is another negative space. And then this, I'm going to put a little dot right here. And then this comes up like this, right? And then this comes over like this. And this is going to be the back end of the tail. Excellent. So here we have the back end of the tail in a very simple form. And as you can see, in no time at all, we've created half of our dragon, which is very exciting. So now please feel free to pause if you have to at any given moment. Now I'm going to take this and bring this over here and move my paper so we can now do the other side of our dragon. Excellent. So we did this back side and now we have this side. And like I said in the beginning, sometimes I like to measure off the top of the paper. For example, like this is 2.5 fingers down, right? And then this line, so let's measure over here. So 3 inches, 3 fingers over. I'm just going to put a little dot right here. And then I'm going to carry this out like this. Well, let's see how far down. So it's about 3 fingers down. So right, so this is in a good spot. And then I'm just going to swoop this around like this. And that's going to be the top part of her tail like that. Now, here I am turning my paper because I sometimes think that it's easier to draw at a different angle. So if you find that, please feel free to turn your paper. Okay, so if I look over here, let me move this over. If I look over here at what I drew on this page, right? So here's my dragon's body, right? And so here's this shape. So I kind of want to create this shape. And what I'm going to do this is I'm going to kind of do something a little, I'm going to add a little something. So from here, from right here to right about right here, I'm going to put a line. Now that line I'll eventually erase because it's a guideline. And then from right here, I'm going to create a line that comes around like this. So this comes up and around. Now draw this curve very, very lightly because there's lots of detail in here. These are actually talons, and it doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to be that curvy. So just draw it very, very, very lightly as we put this in to make it less complicated. So I am going to line this up. If I draw a little line right here, these line up. So from here to here, I'm going to kind of do that. And then I'm going to make things easy on myself. And this kind of swoops around like that. And then this comes around like this. And so I am going to turn my paper and I'm going to create this curve. And then I'm going to curve this around like so. So eventually all of these kind of curve. And then this comes in a little bit more. So this is what that looks like. So this comes around and over. And then this comes around like this. And then this comes over like that. And then so here's the back end of his body, right? And so the body is going to come about 3 fingers down. And I go like that, right? It's about 5 fingers over. Put a little line here. And so if I look very carefully at this negative space right here, this is really important, this shape. So what does that shape look like? I'm just going to kind of play around with it for a minute. Kind of looks like that. Just to sketch it in, it's going to probably be different. Just to kind of get the sketch in, that's going to come around like that. And then this actually is going to come all the way down like this. And this is going to come from right about right here. And it's going to come around. Oops, like this. So we're just getting this part of her body. And so then this line is a little bit more fluid. And it looks like this. I love the fluidity of the lines. Like that. And then I'm just looking at the shapes. And then here we go like that. Kind of like when you look at your pets, right? And so they all like, you know, it kind of looks like a swan. It like ebbs and flows and curves. So just like when you're drawing a horse or any animal, right? The head always has kind of a circle. And this circle is going to fit right in here like this. And that's going to be our head. And then you can connect this line like that. And then on the end of our head shape, let's put in the snout. That looks like this. Kind of looks like a duck. Okay, now let's put the feet in. So I'm looking at this shape. So this shape, I'm gonna put a line right here. So this is gonna help me put the placement in. And also, where does it line up? So this actually has to move over like that. And that becomes longer. And then this lines up like that. Remember, we're looking at the shape. And then so this. I like to show that things aren't always perfect and you can erase and make things better and kind of get things to where you want them to be through practice and patience. So here's this foot right here. This foot, and I'm just going to put that in like that. So here we have our, I'm going to put this away. Here we have our basis for Glory the Dragon. Now, this is kind of where we're going to go in and we're going to finesse our lines, but you want to kind of take a little bit of time to realize that you might end up having to erase some things and make them a little bit cleaner. This is why I really emphasize not putting a lot of pressure on the drawing behind your pencil, going kind of for a lighter touch, right? Okay, so here we have our dragon. So we started with the wings over here. Let's start with this part of the dragon, and let's start with the body. This shape right here is pretty, I'm going to move this over. Okay, so this shape right here looks pretty good. And this is pretty open. And when I go to ink this, I'll really be able to clean up a lot of my lines. But I just want you to be able to see, right, the kind of beauty in everything. So also this tail shape is going to change. And then this is going to come up like this, right? And then this over here is going to come up like this. And this is going to move a little bit. So from here, it's probably easier if I just do it. From here, so from right here to right here, these are actually legs that kind of come in. So this comes over like this. And then this comes around like this. I have to move my paper. I'm working it out in my mind because the lines do change, right? So let's see. So here we have this. It goes over like this and points. And this points like that. So this here, see how this changes. And then this is a double. I have to sharpen my pencil. So this is one. Let's clean this up. So this is one line. And then this is another line. And again, when I go to ink it, it'll look different. I'm doing it again. I'm not completely confident that that's right. So this goes over like this. And then this goes around like this. Excellent. So here we have this. And here's the double line right here like that. And then inside here, we have the body, these kind of body scales, right? I'm not measuring them out. I'm just putting them in like so. Like that. Great. Now let's move right over here to this area, which is the foot. So there's that. So then this is going to have a little bit of a curve. And it's going to come down like this and over like this. And then this is going to curve around like so. I'm just getting the foot in. So here's my foot. And then here's some claws right in here. Dragons have gross feet, right? And then this foot is going to come over here. And it's going to curve around. And then it's going to have some claws because they have to be able to grip things. So there is a negative space in here. And that is right in there. So this whole area, right up until about right here, is kind of a wing. And you can put in these little details like so. I think these little details really help with the color change. And I'm just going through the drawing. So we kind of get things to where they're supposed to be, right? It kind of helps us visually. There's a line. I'm drawing the dragon. She has these spots. I don't know too much about the coloring of her, but I can imagine you can do a lot when coloring this in. And this kind of comes down like this. And there's this back end of the dragon. Like that. And excellent. So there's a little joint thing right here. Maybe it's a flying feather. Okay. So from here, I'm going to have the back end of my head over here. And then I'm going to have this area right here, which is actually going to come in a little further, a little closer. Like that. And these wings are a different shape, obviously. So here's this wing right here. So I'm going to put a little line like this to separate the wings. And in this line, it actually gets closer. Inside this space right here, I'm going to put a line like that. And then I'm going to put a line like that. It gets pretty complicated, but that's okay. And then this is going to connect like this. Whoops, let me just move my paper so I can get the shape right. That goes like that. And that goes like that. And inside here, I am going to sketch in these little details. They kind of look like teeth. And you can leave it out if you want. And they go down to right here. And then if I look at this, I'm just going to clean that up. Like that. Cool. Okay, so then this is my dragon head. It might change a little bit, so that's okay. I am going to erase some of these lines because I don't want it to get complicated. So this is going to come around like that. it's okay if your guidelines kind of go away. That's totally fine. But what I do know is that to simplify this, this is going to have a double kind of a thing, parallel line. That comes around like that. And then let's just say this has this kind of action like that. And then this back end of the foot there's little kind of beads in here, little scales. You know, all these are decorative elements I'm just kind of working through, which are totally optional. And so then going up the body of the dragon, there are these little, I kind of think it's a seahorse. It looks like a seahorse. I know it's not a seahorse, but there are these little beads. These little decorative elements. And then here's the back end of her. And she has little spikes. Notice I haven't touched her face yet. And then little scales that kind of follow this down. Lots of details that are kind of unnecessary. So let's get on with the face. Okay, I am going to just erase this part of the face. And we'll put that claw in that goes up here in just a second. I'm going to erase this because it's kind of messy, but I know I can still see it, even though if you at home can't see it. So her jaw kind of starts right about right here. And it kind of comes in like this. And then it comes around like this. And so her snout, I'm just going to put it in like that, like a triangle. And so she has a little, it's like a fang or tooth mark. And this comes over and around like this. And then it comes up and over. And so her mouth is kind of open. Like so. And her eye, this is going to come down and up. And so this line is important. This comes down like this. And her horned thing is going to be right in here like this. And then she has another horn that is right here. So in here, she has 1, 2, 3, and these are kind of like wings. Sorry. 1, 2, 3, and these are kind of like wings that look like this. And then you can make the little 1, 2, 3. So again, I'm just going to pause this. So again, when we're drawing this, if you need to pause this at any time, please take your time with this and patience. And then this, there's a little thing in here that looks like this. So then this, so her eye is going to go right in here. And this is going to kind of come up. It's smaller. Wait, sorry. Move the eye. Okay. So the eye is going to go right in here. And then I'm going to go up and down. I hate it when things are really small, to be honest with you. It makes it harder. So here's my eye. Right here like that. And then this comes down like this. And these are just details. However you want to draw it, it's your drawing. I'm gonna simplify it to make it easy. Around the eye though, so if this is the eye, around the eye, there is going to be little details. And there, so in here, there's going to be little, there you kind of have it without going in and erasing or putting crazy details in. So let's put this claw in. So right up in here, she has a claw. I'm going to move the claw so it's up a little higher. So the claw actually is right up in here, which means this changes a little bit. So this kind of comes up. Like this. And then I'm going to put a little hook. I have to say, I'm not really into dragons, but I get asked to draw them all the time. I like the idea of dragons, but as far as like mythical creatures go, I kind of like the idea of unicorns more. both of which I think are hard to draw. So then this, there's going to be another claw over here, and he kind of comes down like this. And then this is going to kind of come all the way down the back side of the wing. Cool. Okay, so this line right here is not important. Let's just leave this like that. So there is this comes up like this, and this comes over like this, and then this comes down like this. I know it's like this, and then this comes over like this. These are like the bones of the wing. Okay. So what we're going to do next is let's do this foot right here. Let me sharpen my pencil. I know this is a very long drawing. So the foot, let's simplify it. Yeah, like this, and then like that. And here's the feet. This comes up like this. And there's actually, it's actually one foot, because they're kind of like dinosaurs, I think. And then and so if I draw a little line like this, he has a lot of decoration on him. And then he has some claws. Down there. And some circular things. He's very decorated. So here's this next foot that comes down and then up. There's a little claw off the back. And a claw off the front. And right in here, this is where I'm going to put my decoration. And then back in here, I'm going to put a little bit more decoration. Get rid of this scribble, which goes right up in here. So if you're into these books, you can imagine, you know, the life of these dragons while you're drawing it. So then this is going to be the back end of the tail, right? Which spirals in here. So I'm just going to erase this to kind of get this shape. So the easiest way to draw the spiral is to spiral it around. You're trying to, when you look, you're looking at it and it has all these little details. It's hard to kind of see because there's all these kind of messy lines in the way. So kind of get your spiral in there, so to speak. Right? And then let's get this line. It's going to kind of come around. I know it's going to get confusing, so just watch. And then on the back end of the dragon, there are little spikes. And draw them however you want. And obviously when I ink this, it's going to look much different. And so these little tiny spikes follow this. All the way around like that. Good. And then in here, I'm going to put these little circle details that follow the tail, down the tail. And so in here, so this is actually going to be a little pointier in here like this. And then on the wing, you can kind of draw these lines that come down on the wing like that. And then from here, you can kind of do the same thing up here to kind of give it a little bit more, I don't know why that's fuzzy, to give it a little bit more detail. But you don't have to really go into detail, crazy detail up here. So what I'm going to do now is we are going to ink it, and I'm going to erase some of the lines so you can kind of see this cleaner. Now I might pause it while I ink it, so because our video is already super long and I don't want it to be so long, but I do want you to know that you know, feel free to pause it just like this, and you know, go in and you know, fix it, clean up your drawing in any way that you want, and just understand that, you know, creatures are hard things to draw. They're not easy. They're complicated beings, right? So to ink this, I think I'm going to use, let's see here. What are my choices? I might use a micron pen because I want it to be a little cleaner. I think I'm going to use this micron pen. Or I can use this fine point Sharpie. I don't want it to be so bold. Here, I'm going to use this one because it's a little fatter. It's a 0.08. And this is a archival ink micron pen. And so what that looks like is kind of like this. So keep in mind when you start inking this, to start with really small spaces and totally take your time, right? Because think about it like this. You just spent a good hour drawing this super cool dragon, Glory the dragon, and you do not want to mess it up, right? We took the time to measure and all the rest of it and erase and painstakingly draw the creature. Now, I also want you to realize that if your dragon looks different from my dragon, there's nothing wrong with that. It doesn't mean anything. It just means that you are you, right? And you're not meant to copy me completely, right? Nor am I meant to copy you completely, right? We're two different people drawing, a cool thing together. And if your drawing has, different details, that's totally fine too, because we're different. And that's really important to me for you to understand that. Okay, so I'm going to pause it and then I'm going to ink it and then I'm going to come back and show you what that looks like. So, or you can pause it right here too, and you can just finish drawing or inking yourself. So here you can see I've finished inking Glory, and I kind of fine-tune some of the lines, and I'm pretty happy with the way my dragon turned out. This is where I would go in and color it with some colored pencils or some markers, whatever you want. I do understand that this was a hard drawing, and I'm still erasing. I really appreciate those of you who stuck it out to kind of draw the dragon with me, but it's very cool. So if you'd like to share it with me, please do so. I am again at, where am I at? I'm at futurepicassos.com. And where is that piece of paper? There it is. I'm at futurepicassos.com. I'm at Future Picassos Instagram and info@futurepicassos.com. You can send me your suggestions, and thank you for drawing with me. If you liked this drawing, please hit like and subscribe. It means the world to me. And it also really means the world to me for you to send in your drawings. So have a great day and stay tuned for next week. I think I might be drawing something from Toy Story, and have a fabulous week and enjoy your summer.